There's a cruel irony in the fact that one of the greatest composers ever to write for the human voice died of throat cancer. Giacomo Puccini died in 1924, and the supremacy of Italian opera died with him. But let's go back. Puccini's career had an amazing trajectory, and with the success of his operas, especially La Bohème, Tosca and Madame Butterfly, he became a multimillionaire, spending his money famously on elegant clothes, houses, and fast cars. But apart from this colorful biography, there's the music. It is some of the most ravishing, intimate, passionate, sometimes even erotic and clever music ever heard in the theater and beyond. Opera in the late 19th century had been dominated by one man, Giuseppe Verdi. His works overall had come to define what opera was all about. Theatrical excitement married with rousing, noble, grand delivery. A powerful symbol of the Italian identity. The nation was desperate for a worthy successor. That role fell to Giacomo Puccini, a modern man in every way. In fact, he was one of the first composers to be captured on film, as this rare footage shows. Here was a composer who was to take opera into the 20th century, who looked beyond Italy for his ideas, and his music became incredibly popular. Sitting in the theater, you become personally involved with his characters. The emotions at once tender, poetic, flirtatious, despairing, and violent. By looking at 5 of his great operas, I want to show you that Puccini, through a mastery of melody and orchestral color, portrayed tragedy, comedy, and love, desperate, impossible love. We begin in the garrets and cafes of Paris with what is probably Puccini's most famous opera. No other opera expresses the irrepressible energy of youth than Puccini's La Bohème. Drawing on his experience as a young student in Milan, he creates a story about 4 young students living on the edge. A musician, a poet, a philosopher, a painter. There's a story that Puccini, as a young student, shared a herring, one single herring between 4 guys, and this finds its way into the opera. Puccini throws you into a fleeting world of youth that everybody can relate to. And this is the secret of the success of this opera. As a penniless 22-year-old student in 1880, Puccini came to study here in cosmopolitan Milan, the most sophisticated, forward-looking city in Italy. Milan made a huge impact on the young Puccini, newly arrived from his provincial hometown of Lucca in Tuscany. Here, the latest ideas jostled with the latest fashions. In a letter to his mother, Puccini wrote, "How beautiful Milan is, and what youthfulness." Puccini based La Bohème on a book by Henri Murger, Scenes from a Bohemian Life. In it, he found the cafes and street markets that he recognized from his own student days in Milan, and it captured his imagination.
isn't a bar too much. The text is wonderful. It's vividly written. Everything he wants to say is in the music. And that is the wonderful thing about this opera. It's those four boys living together. And a lot of us have been students, and we've shared apartments with other students. And in Bohème, they're all people that we can understand and associate with.
The musical roots of La Bohème are to be found here at the Conservatorio di Musica di Milano, where the young Puccini came to study. Although his family was penniless, his mother petitioned Queen Margherita, and the young Giacomo won a scholarship that opened the doors to the most prestigious music school in Italy. This is a bust of the young Puccini during his conservatory days. Handsome he is too. Reports say that he was easygoing but shy, and certainly no model student. Inattentive, restless, and prone to writing letters in class rather than studying. He wrote to his mother, "I'm in dramatic literature class, and I'm bored to tears." But at the time, it wasn't drama that captured everyone's imagination. Symphonic music from Northern Europe was becoming the rage. The Conservatoire Library houses the handwritten scores of the most important works Puccini wrote as a student, the Capriccio Sinfonico and the Preludio Sinfonico. Now, the key word is sinfonico. There are no singers to be found in these pieces. But the feeling for melody is extremely strong. The ending of the Preludio Sinfonico certainly leaves a debt to Mr. Wagner, whose music Puccini would have come across, as it sounds uncannily like the ending for The Flying Dutchman. Now, in the Capriccio Sinfonico, which begins with a quite bombastic and solemn, almost march, I would say, has a little surprise in its second movement, because here I'm astounded here to be looking at actually what is the music that became the beginning of La Bohème. This figure is jumping out at me here, and it's taken verbatim. It's just incredible to see this just note for note as the beginning of one of the most important operas in the repertoire. Puccini was 25 when he left the Conservatorio, and the Capriccio Sinfonico was his graduation work for which he received a distinction. After the first performance, one newspaper critic predicted that he had a future as a great symphonist. But Puccini had other ideas.